Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Cambridge English Elite. And today I have made a video on different story starters or story openers, the ways in which you can make your narratives sound more engaging and intriguing right from the beginning of the story. So let's get started. Okay, so let's try to understand what story starters are. Story starters are prompts or opening sentences designed to spark creativity and help writers begin a story. They set the scene, introduce a character, or pose an intriguing scenario to draw the reader in and provide a foundation for further storytelling. So, to story starters, they are really important. They lay a foundation for your story, whether it's going to be interesting, suspenseful, intriguing for the reader. And that is something that will urge the reader to read the story, right? So they should always be interesting. The opening of the story should be engaging, interesting. So we should work on making a really, a really intriguing, a very attractive, appealing kind of story starter. So let's consider some of the ways in which we can begin our story. Okay, the first one is a dialogue opener, right? So the first dialogue opener, let's read it out. Shh, did you hear that? The wind whispered through the ancient trees as Sarah and Jake stood frozen in the moonlit forest, their eyes wide with terror. So the dialogue, shh, did you hear that? This is something that is creating suspense, that there might be somebody. There's a sound that is coming, right? From the in the midst of the forest, and the wind is whispering, and there's a moonlit forest, and their eyes are wide with terror. The characters have been introduced, those who are speaking the dialogue, right? So that dialogue is this dialogue, did you hear that? It's a question as well, and it is urging the readers to they would wonder what actually could be the sound. Is it a creature? Is it somebody else? Is it a killer, a murderer? Maybe, right? So they would want to read more and more, right? Okay, moving on to the second example of dialogue opener. Whatever you do, don't open that door. Promise me. So again, there's a sense of threat in this dialogue. Don't open that door. Maybe you get a topic like write a story in which a door plays an important part. You get such types of questions, topic, story prompts in O-level exam, in IGCSE, right? So that can be one way of starting the story with a kind of dialogue which includes this word door as well, because this contains a sense of threat. What could be behind that door? The readers must be wondering. Don't open that door. Why? What could be behind it? Is it something dangerous? Is it something threatening? Is it so? It builds up tension, right? So this kind of dialogue can also be included. Always include dialogues that play an important part in plot development, or they are the dialogues, like the lame dialogues like how are you, hope you're fine, hi, hello, they are not important. They don't play a role. They are not considered a good structural device, because dialogues, they fall into the category of structural techniques, right? So in order to create, you should include 3 to 4 to 5 dialogues in your narrative, but they all should contribute to plot development, right? Okay, moving on to another type of story opener, that is flashback. Flashback opener, let's read the example. The photograph fell from the old book, triggering a flood of memories. Sarah found herself back in the dusty attic of her grandmother's house, surrounded by secrets waiting to be unraveled. So, Sarah, there is something that is gonna, some kind of secret is going to be discovered later. So, the photograph that fell from the old book, that led to the memories, that is creating this whole, this opening creates a sense of nostalgia, right? That the girl is sitting there in the grandmother's house and the secrets are going to be unraveled. So this kind of flashback sounds good, but the flashbacks like that start with when I was a kid, when I was 5 years old, I still, or once upon a time, these kinds of flashback openers, they don't sound very appealing as compared to this one, the photograph. Something you get hold of in the story, and that takes you into the past. That is a good type of complex kind of flashback opener. So let's move on to another example of story opener, that is action opener. The explosion rocked the city, sending shockwaves through the once bustling streets. Amidst the chaos, Emily sprinted towards the billowing smoke, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. So, action packed thriller kinds of stories. When we watch movies, when we watch action packed movies, they always attract readers. And if you add suspense in them, that is like a cherry on top of the cake, right? So, the explosions, the shock waves, the bustling city, the chaos, a girl who is just, running towards the smoke and her heart is pounding. Maybe she's running to save someone out, right? So this kind of action scene is also serves as a really good sentence, a story opener, right? Because it is something that draws the reader directly into the scene. Okay, moving on to the next one, that is mystery opener. Mystery opener, for example, if you get a topic like write a story in which a letter plays an important part. So this kind of opener can work there really well. Let's read it out. The letter arrived without a return address, containing only a single cryptic sentence. The key to your destiny lies in the forgotten library at the edge of town. Jane couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to take an unexpected turn. So the letter is there, the letter is without an address, the letter contains a single cryptic note, there's a kind of forgotten library, and something unexpected is going to happen with the character that is Jane. So this is something that is creating mystery, a sense of suspense. The reader, when reads this first paragraph, imagine you reading the first paragraph of the story, you would be really curious to know that what is in that letter. What does it mean? What is that forgotten library? What is going to happen with Jane later on in the story? So again, it's a good starter, because this kind of story opener can serve, mystery openers, they can serve for spy kind of narratives, spy narratives or suspenseful narratives, right? Okay, moving on to the next one, setting opener. You can always begin your story with setting, describing the weather, and you can, after the weather, you can also include the characters over there. The main character can also be introduced right in the first paragraph, as we did in the previous video, that how setting and character, that is exposition, right? And they can be included in the first part of the narrative, in the starting of the narrative. But setting should be described in a very vivid manner. You should, whenever you are describing setting, keep in mind you should include your five senses. Not necessarily include all of them, but you should keep in mind all the five senses: sense of taste, touch, smell, sense of hearing, and sight. Whatever you can see, the sounds you hear, the anything that you touch, anything that you can smell, they also create a good kind of setting. Let's read it out. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the deserted carnival grounds. The flickering lights of abandoned rides, the distant echo of a melancholic tune, created an eerie atmosphere, as if the ghosts of joy still lingered. So ghosts of joy is a kind of metaphor, the flickering light, sense of sight, abandoned rides, deserted carnival, distant echoes, it's related to sense of sound. And an eerie kind of atmosphere creates a sense of, fear, right? And long shadows, again, they create a sense of fear. So, right? So these kinds of words, they can together be used to create a more appealing setting, a setting that looks more alive when you read it, sounds more alive when you read it. Okay. So the next one is a character opener. You can describe the character, and you can also describe it in a way that creates something suspicious about the character. Let's read it out. In the small town of Romford, where everyone knew everyone else's business, there was one person shrouded in mystery. Shrouded, again, is metaphorical verb that is used here. The elusive artist known only as Ink. No one had ever seen Ink's face, but the murals that adorned the town told stories only the observant could decipher. So maybe the murals in the town, they might be then they might be painted by the artist himself, but no one knew, no one had seen ever his face. Now, what is so suspicious about this kind of this artist, that no one knows, no one has ever seen him? Why is that, right? So the reader, again, he gets drawn into the story, that what is wrong with this character, right? And he would like to read more and more. Okay, another kind of story opener is a climax opener. I urge my students, they can always start a story with the climax, action, right? Because the more action packed your story is, the more suspenseful your story is, the more the readers would be engaged in. For example, let's read this starter. It was getting dark. A single short sentence like this one, it serves really well. It is something, especially when you are starting your stories with a short single sentence, they create suspense, right? Don't let go, Alex screamed over the deafening roar of the waterfall. Deafening roar of the waterfall. Again, kind of metaphorical sound, sense of sound related words which are related to sense of sound. His fingers were slipping, knuckles white, as he clung desperately to the edge of the jagged rock. Below him, the torrent raged, swallowing everything in its path. Emily dangled from his other hand, her wide eyes locked onto his. So it was getting dark. Alex is screaming. His fingers are slipping. He's trying to get hold, of the of Emily, and this is something that is creating suspense. So it's the mid part of the story where the tension is at its peak. Climax is the part of the story where the tension or suspense in the air that reaches the height, right? So this part is the most tense part of the story. The writer chooses to place it right in the beginning, and from the second paragraph we can go into the flashback and we can tell what happened earlier, and later on in this third fourth paragraph we reconnect to this climax opener, the way from where we started the story, and we continue the story forward, right, towards the ending. Whatever happened, whether they were saved, whether they were not saved, whether they died, whether they fell, whatever happens, right? So this is also a really engaging story opener. Weather opener, as I said, setting can be description of a place. Weather, we can also describe weather as well, right in the beginning of the narrative. The storm raged outside, but inside the cozy cabin, Emma felt a strange sense of calm. Little did she know that the tempest outside mirrored the turmoil about to unfold within the walls of her sanctuary. So you see storm raging outside, and inside there's a cozy cabin. We also call it juxtaposition. It's something when we are placing two contrasting elements next to each other, parallel to each other in a story. A storm outside, but a cozy cabin inside. And Emma, she's feeling very calm. And but the tempest, the storm outside, it is actually depicting, it is actually symbolizing turmoil, something that is going to unfold, something that is going to happen in that cozy cabin. Sanctuary is a metaphor the writer chooses to use for cozy cabin, right, where Emily is right now. Okay, so this is also another kind of a very attractive weather opener. So the simple go for some including some kind of suspense in your openers, whether they are weather openers, whether they are setting openers, because that is something that is going to really draw the reader in, right? Okay. Withholding information. Withholding information is when you don't tell everything right in the beginning. So this is also a good way. Let's read the example out. Don't look under the floorboard, Aunt Lydia said, her voice trembling as she handed me the rusty key. I wanted to ask why, but her pale face and quivering hands stopped me. She turned and disappeared down the narrow hallway, leaving me alone in the dusty attic. The floor creaked under my feet as I stared at the wooden planks beneath me, and then I heard it, a faint tapping coming from under the floorboard. So you see, there's a sound coming and there's a dialogue as well, right? That under the floorboard there is something. Aunt Lydia, she's trying to, stay composed, but she's still trembling, right? Her pale face, her quivering fingers, and the girl she's speaking to, she turned, disappear, and leaving alone. And under my feet, the writer over here, right? The floor, she can feel the floor creaking, like as if something is there beneath it. I heard it. Now, it is something that creates suspense. We are withholding information. What is it? What is it? It is a tapping sound, but from where? What is the source of that sound? We don't know that. And that is going to be unraveled later in the story, right? So this is also a good way. Another, for example, if I talk about, I give my students the example of a creature maybe in the story, and I don't reveal what the creature is, but I start my story with sentences like it was there, right there. It was staring at me. ठीक है. What, for example, what could I do? Should I run? ठीक है. Would I be able to escape it? And this is something that, I haven't revealed what is it in the story, but I've created lots of suspense. Why? Because it is staring at me and I'm trying to, I'm scared, I want to run away, right? So this is another, a very good, engaging, a very appealing way of, drawing in the reader's attention, right? So these are some of the ways we can begin our story, right? Thank you very much. I'll come up with another video of how to end stories, and then I'm gonna plan a narrative live in the class, right? So if you like this video, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Do leave your comments in the comment section so that I can make further videos, and I can do give me the feedback, because feedback is something that always helps us to improve, right? Thank you very much. Goodbye.